Maybe. There we go. It's that time in the service where we take a moment to ask some questions. So if you've been around a while, this is nothing new. We like to ask questions and we like to give biblical answers, and sometimes there are questions that I'm never going to choose to preach a sermon on, but you would like to hear the answer. So we do Ask Anything. We have a couple of more weeks this Sabbath and 2 more Sabbaths that you can continue to submit questions. And then we're going to close submissions and try and get through all the good questions you've asked, because we don't do as many each week as are submitted each week. So, one question that was asked is, what is your favorite color? Green, but it depends what it's for, right? So I really like green because it's the color of nature. But also, if I'm going to choose a color to wear, it's probably going to be something boring like black or navy. It's probably my favorite color to wear, maybe dark gray. And then if I'm choosing a favorite color to decorate with, it's probably wood grain. Hey, this church has a lot of that. Or white. I like that for furniture and decorations. So there's the very long answer that could have just been green. Another question is, can you explain more about what's happening in the Oregon Conference right now? So we played a video last week from Dan Lindroth, the president of the Oregon Conference. If you're not familiar with the Seventh-day Adventist church structure, a conference is a geographic area, like a diocese if you're from other faith traditions, and ours is called Oregon. It's not just the state of Oregon. It actually takes in part of Washington, and then there's Upper Columbia that's part of Oregon and part of Washington and part of Idaho and all the forgotten lands. And our union has Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Upper Columbia as a part of it. So we played that video, and part of that was, hey, we're having some financial crisis right now, and there is going to be a 20% reduction in pastoral and office staff, which translates to 25 pastors who will no longer be employed. Now, I only know what you guys know. I get the same emails from the conference with the newsletter that you do. But we are privileged to have Sharon Fleshman as part of our church. So I'm going to invite Sharon up. Sharon was nominated and confirmed as a member of the Oregon Conference Executive Committee. And what that means is that she represents our local churches, and they get to make decisions with administration. So Sharon, can you tell us a little bit more about what is happening in the Oregon Conference right now? It should be on.
Okay. We came up to a time period when it was realized that we had a large financial problem that had kind of gone under the radar for a while. And so the Oregon Conference has chosen to do some drastic changes in an effort to correct the path that we were on. We're going to be losing a number of pastors, a number of people in the conference, and a few other things like that.
So we saw a video last week that Dan Lindroth had made, and this week we have a letter to Oregon Conference churches from him.
Yes.
So we have some copies of that in the lobby on the back table if people would like that. There's also a link there if you'd like to go find it. And it's a very long letter. But Sharon, is there anything you as an executive committee member would like to share with us in addition to this?
About the information from the letter, or?
Anything.
So we need to ask hard questions. We need to pray very hard for our conference and for decisions that are made. None of this is easy in any aspect whatsoever. I became an executive committee member kind of on a lark. I was My job had just started offering 4 10-hour shifts, and because of food pantry and stuff, I had asked for Thursdays. So when it was suggested, I was like, well, what day do they meet? It's Thursdays. Oh, sure, I'll be on executive committee. That's no problem. It was almost, I did it very lightheartedly, but I began to think, and I feel that God had suckered me into it. This is a big part of my personal walk. God suckers me into some things, because I have the willingness to ask hard questions and demand answers. Our church had just gone through a very difficult time period, and I felt like there were hard questions that needed to be answered. I went to the committee and I did ask some hard questions. The answers were not as clear as I thought. And I had allowed myself to be discouraged, and because I felt like, am I just a negative person? Am I just suspicious? Because I am a suspicious person. Or maybe I'm just not as smart and I haven't quite caught up to what the other people on the committee were understanding. And I didn't understand. So I became quiet and tried to understand. And I did learn some things, but some of you who have ever been on a committee with me may be shocked to know that in some of those 6 to 7 hour committee meetings over the past year and a half, I did not open my mouth, which is unlike me. And for that, I apologize. I took a gift that God gave me and equipped me for, and it does have to be used with discretion, but I let it sit unused entirely. And please forgive me for that. But with your support, I want to go back to the committee and be the executive committee member that I know God has equipped me to be, to ask hard questions and to demand clear answers. Amen. And part of that is, I want you to be able to ask me anything. Catch me after church, ask me hard questions. I will do my very best to give you clear answers, and if I can't, I will find out. But please pray for our conference. This has been very difficult, and we need to have hard things said and hard things prayed for.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being willing to share with us. We appreciate your work on executive committee. And I don't know about you, but a 6 to 7 hour committee meeting sounds terrible. So thank you for doing that on our behalf. As Sharon said, this is a moment where we need to be praying for our church. And tonight there is a special Zoom meeting with the Oregon Conference. And if you want to join that, please take a picture of it. It didn't make it in the bulletin. And join on Zoom to pray for our leadership, to pray for our executive committee, to pray for pastors and churches and decisions that are happening. We can always use a little more prayer, can't we? Thank you, as always, for trusting us with your questions, and we look forward to answering more of them in coming weeks.